right, Ambitions fans, this is the final video on my list. I just recorded 5 of the 6 videos I've talked about before. Uh, the show being better than the haves and have-nots, is Titus dead? Who did Hunter shoot? Unanswered questions, most ruthless person in the series, and to round things out, this is just like a season 1 overview of the show and kind of my thoughts on it. So I'm not going to say everything that happens because as I gave the show praise in my reasons why the show is better than the haves and the have-nots video, the pacing is insane, but not in a bad way. It's just like there's always something happening. There isn't really a dull moment in the show. But really, when you come down to it, it's the fact that this season was pretty strong. I think that season 1 put its best foot forward. And unfortunately, apparently it wasn't good enough to be renewed for season 2. However, that doesn't mean the show has been extinguished permanently. There could be a resurgence on the OWN network. I'm sorry, I'm getting a lot of messages right now about the haves and have-nots. They must have dropped a video or something. I don't know. But toss my phone across the room. That way you don't have to worry about that background noise anymore. But basically, season 1 definitely got people talking. And I mean, for me on this channel, a lot of people are saying I tried Ambitions, I couldn't get into it. And I'll admit that maybe past the first 4 or 5 episodes, if you watch, kind of like right before they took a break and then the back half of the season, the show really took off. I do think overall the show was really good. But I think that some fans watched that first episode and just couldn't get into it. I feel like some people felt the same way about Tyler Perry's sisters. They say, hey, Jeremy, I really only watch your videos to support you, but I don't watch the show that much, which is why I kind of, stopped watching that show entirely. What I mean by that is I don't really watch the entire episode anymore. I only watch the bits about the Andy storyline, and then I'll do a video on that. Because people weren't really responding to my other sister videos. Anytime I did a video specifically about Andy, Gary, Jasmine, they would get thousands of views, but any episode review I did would barely get 500. So with Ambitions, however, these characters are so linked by the hip that you have to talk about them all. So what were my overall thoughts? Yeah, that's it. Season overview. What were my overall thoughts about Ambitions? And unlike the video where I listed things like pacing, character consequences, I just wanted to talk about some of the highlights. Definitely one of the first things that comes to mind is Thelma's Place. And I know I kind of joke about this, but I really mean it. Every time we're at Thelma's Place, I loved it because of the fact that we would get a glorious scene of Rondell or Inez or just a random customer having a delicious looking plate of food in front of them. I know that sounds like a joke, but I am dead serious. It's like the atmosphere of Thelma's, and in general, every location on Ambitions definitely had a great atmosphere to it. Different reasons, of course. Like in Stephanie's house, despite how beautiful it was, there was tension. Obviously, every time that it was either Carly or Stephanie together, or Stephanie and Evan, even in moments where they were having just a breakfast together, one or both of them would get a text message and then they would have to run off somewhere. Or even when you go over to Bella's loft, there was always the air of creativity because she was always working on a new design, or she would be working to get some kind of fashion deal, whether it be the concession stand. And ooh, I forgot to mention that in my unanswered question video, what's going to happen with the concession stand at the airport. But then you also have Hope as well, and Joaquin. It's just, you have the fact you have a young boy whose mother's trying to climb the ranks in the fashion world, and his father being the mayor, and how that's going to be affected in his development because of the fact that Evan wants to be a part of Joaquin's life, despite, him being an outside child. And then, of course, going over to Greg Peters' house, always some kind of devious scheme plotting. Even in moments him just working out or whatever, Stephanie will come over with some news about, the deal to kind of take the power away from her father's law firm. And then when you get to the law firm, it's about legacy. It's